If you're wondering how writing and storytelling got in my blood, well, we have to go a long ways back. It goes all the way back to probably before I even really understood the language, because I was very fortunate that my parents read to me from an early age, and I was read to constantly right up through grade school. My first books were most likely the Dr. Seuss books and the ABC books and the Bible stories that my parents would read to me. But then one of my early influences was my first grade teacher. My first grade teacher was a man named Jim Aylesworth. And Jim Aylesworth is a highly successful children's author. At that time, he'd only published about 6 books. Now I think he's published over 30. And he's been writing and publishing for decades and decades now. He's no longer a first grade teacher, but he did that for quite a few years. I was there early in his career. It was a time called the 1980s, way back in decades. And I have a few books by him. This is one of them I just picked up actually at the Studio Moonfall, Donovan Shearer's shop in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I did a video there not too long ago. And this one, which I actually picked up at an event that Jim was signing at a few years back. And he signed it for my son, who was just a child at the time, is now almost 20. I think the most important thing that Mr. Aylesworth did for me was not exactly inspire me to write, because I didn't want to be a children's author. I was already reading a little more advanced stuff by the time I was in first or second grade, slightly more advanced than the children's books that he was writing, although I still enjoyed those. But what he did was he showed me that real people, regular people, can become writers. Writers are not this great mysterious entity up in the sky that we have to worship. Books didn't drop down to us from heaven. Writers made them, and those writers were real people, which meant that I could possibly become a writer. And that was hugely inspirational to me, and I was already starting to write when I was in grade school. I was already telling stories, and I'm about to read you my very first published story. And this goes all the way back to first grade. This is from Tall Tales, Short Tales, a literary magazine by and for the students dedicated to our principal. And my story is the very last story in the journal, right there. It's called A Snake by Luke Morris, grade 1. Imagine me, but a lot blonder up here, no hair down here, no wrinkles right here, nothing gray, nothing broken down, and a lot smaller. My story is entitled A Snake. I went to the jungle and I saw a python snake and a rattlesnake and a cobra snake, and they chased me. I jumped into a tree. A python almost bit me, but it didn't because I jumped away from him, and then all of them chased me through the jungle. I shoved them back. I got my spear and stabbed them. The end. Yeah, I don't know if I would call that Dostoevsky. There's not much of an arc for my character, who is me, to go through there. But I survived the snake attack. And it's kind of interesting that even back then, I was already using polysyndeton, just like Ernest Hemingway. I had no idea that I was doing that. I think I was probably telling a story the way a 6-year-old normally tells a story. I went to the store, and then I went to school, and then I saw my friend, and then I saw a dog and it bit me, and then I found a rock, and then I was home. Something along those lines, but that reads pretty well, and I actually do have decent sentence variety in there, surprisingly. And there is a beginning, middle, and end to the story, so there's something of an arc to the story, even if there's no real character arc. I had no idea what I was doing at the time, but the fact that I was already telling stories with beginnings, middles, and ends kind of foreshadowed where my life was going to go. It's been a long journey. After that, it took years. I did get published once in my early teens, and then I got published again when I was in college. And then I didn't really publish anything for a while. I did win a few writing contests, got some money, earned some money in college, but I didn't publish anything again until I was in my early 30s. It was shortly after my dad passed away that I decided to publish my first book. And since then, it's been kind of a continuous uphill climb. I became a teacher, I went to graduate school, earned my degree, and wrote more and wrote more and wrote more and taught more and wrote more and taught more and wrote more, and then I started this channel. And now you guys are here watching me. Everyone's writing journey is different. And what inspires you, what starts you on your writing journey may not be the same as me. You might be starting a little later on. You might have different influences. You might actually get a good start earlier on than I do. But whatever it is, don't lose your early influences. And don't lose your early work either. I've got almost nothing left that I wrote in high school or college. It's all been lost, like tears and rain. So I don't know if this was particularly edifying for you guys, but I hope that you found a little bit of inspiration here. A great story can come from anywhere, from anyone, at any age. I wouldn't call that a great story, but it was a story. Please leave a comment below. What was one of your earliest stories? One of your earliest published or not stories? And who were some of your early influences? I'd love to know. And stay tuned for next time, because we'll be doing a real writing lesson again. Look forward to it. Till then, good luck and good writing. Peace.